Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet. Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. Chris McGee, Derek Fisher, Big Game, James Worthy. Allie's going to join us in a little bit. By the way, Allie Clifton, down 20, called the victory. She was very optimistic. I, at the time, was not. The Lakers, after their worst second quarter in franchise history, Big Game, James, saw them down by 25. Their biggest comeback win of the year. They outscored the Blazers 75-41 in the second half, and they win up in Portland, where they have not won since December of 2019. That was good times.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle tonight.
Basketball miracle.
We were talking about, them getting the lead down to 15, just chipping away at it, get it to 10, and they could, possibly have a chance. And they did a great job with some help with Thomas Bryant and some role players. I'm sure there's some stats to look at there, but awesome comeback, great win up in Portland.
What was the key, Fish?
I mean, there are a number of keys. I thought some of the adjustments we may not notice in the stat sheet is I thought in the third quarter there was a commitment to just face guard Damian Lillard wherever he was on the floor. Pat Bev took the challenge. Russ did a few possessions. I think also Dennis as well. And then offensively for the Lakers, we talked about before game, making Damian Lillard work on defense. So they started using whoever Damian Lillard was guarding to set the screen roll on LeBron or on whoever was handling the ball. That put Lillard into defensive situations that he wasn't comfortable in. I thought those things happened. No turnovers.
None.
Dominated the points in the paint in the second half. Yeah. I think it was 40-14 in the second half, and that ended up also being a big difference.
We've talked at length a number of times over these past 20-something games without AD, just how Thomas Bryant has come into his own. It's great to see him healthy and thriving, and how he's making himself some money down the road and where he belongs on this team and his role. He's won games for the Lakers. Tonight he was fantastic, guys. He tied his career high of 31 points. He was 12 of 15 from the field. He had 4 threes. He was also 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Check out the rebounds too, D-Fish. 14 rebounds, 5 of those offensive with those 2 putback hammers that you will see in the highlights, and also 2 blocks. So he did it on both ends of the floor. Remember, there was a stretch where Wenyen was getting a lot of those minutes defensively down the stretch, but it was Thomas Bryant tonight that they relied on.
Nobody needs to draw up plays for you. You don't have to be a feature guy. You don't have to start. You don't have to play a certain amount of minutes. You just have to have positive impact on the game. That's what Thomas Bryant does almost every time he steps on the floor.
It just goes to show you that how much is left after LeBron gets his, after, potentially AD, after the big boys get all their shots and calls. Look how much is left for other players to get. Yeah. And Thomas Bryant is aware of that. He's aware where he's supposed to be when Westbrook has the ball, LeBron. He puts himself in situations for offensive rebounds, and he just plays with effort and plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. He, like Fish said, no plays called. He did try to draw Nurkic out early. We know he hit a couple threes early. That worked well for him. But other than that, just effort and, like a scavenger in the fish tank. He just gets everything on the wall, gets everything that's left, and he's full. You know what I mean?
You know what I loved at halftime was after their worst second quarter, literally in the history of the franchise, and we've seen a lot of crazy things over the years of basketball. Sometimes I give you guys stats that blow you away. Big Game, you were kind of speechless, and the word that Billy Mack used was disastrous, and you're like, I just can't really explain what we just saw. Well, here it is in front of you, Big Game James. 13 points in the second quarter. They scored 40 in the third. 29%, 62 in the third. They had 3 assists compared to 7, and Big Game James, this is a big one. 7 turnovers, 0 in the third, 0 in the second half. They were minus 27 in threes in the second quarter alone. They were 0 for 7. Portland hit 9. It's just one of those things that happens.
Did a good job, chipped away. The defense picked up in the third, and they did what they're supposed to do. It's effort. Bryant, offensive rebounds, the defense. We talked about how they put Damian and the other players in defensive positions where they had to play some defense, took away from their offensive, pressure, and they just did a great job in the third, turn it up.
Yeah, and I think the way the game is played now, this is such, this is so symbolic of the amount of threes that teams take, the pace that these teams play at. 71-46 at the half. you just don't even know if there are enough possessions in the third and fourth quarter to make up that type of deficit. But because of the amount of threes, the long rebounds, the ability for a team like the Lakers, if you're not turning the basketball over, you're dominating the paint, and you're forcing the other team to miss, you're going to get back in the game. And what, to me, was so wonderful about this stretch without Anthony Davis is they've experienced a lot. They played in close games, overtime games, come up on the short end, been able to break through and win some games, come back from down 25. They got a lot of things in the toolbox that when they see it later in the season, they'll be able to point to some of these games and say, you know what, we did it then. Yeah. We did it then. We've been in this position before. And those are things that they can hopefully hang their hat on as they get to February, March, and April.
Be remiss if I didn't add this, because I don't think I said it in the open. The Lakers were up by 14 early on in that game. So that turnaround was crazy in that first half. So even more credit to the Lakers. And you mentioned the rebounding, 13 rebounds. They out-rebounded Portland by 10 offensive. So some great stats right there. And just kept getting after it. Like you said, they completely flipped it, 75-41 in the second half. 121-112. The Lakers go to 22-25. They've now won 2 in a row. LeBron James with 37 on 14 of 24. Thomas Bryant ties his career high with 31 on 12 of 15. And Dennis with 24, 6, and 8. I love winning. Let's hear from Darvin Ham. You speak with Mike Trudell in the media.
Darvin, this ties for the second biggest deficit overcome in franchise history in a second half, and just wondered if you could sense anything energy-wise in halftime or early in the third quarter once you actually got the guys out on the court that you saw turn the tide and kind of keep belief alive in that circumstance.
Well, it's as simple as us having a conversation, not watching any film of what happened in the first half, just talking about how we started the game, jumping out 18-4 those first 4 or 5 minutes, and then just basically falling apart on both sides of the ball. And, you know, we just challenged the team. You know, it's 24 minutes left. 25 points is a huge deficit, but in the NBA, 3 balls, playing the right way, you can cut into it pretty quickly and give yourself a chance. And, you know, we just basically talking about what we've gone through all year. Playing great basketball for segments of certain games and having tough 4, 5, 6 minute stretches here and there. And just once we see what we need to do to be successful, not just against Portland, they're a hell of a team, 3 hellified players, 4 really, you know. But just for any team, you know, it's about us and how we want to present the best version of ourselves. And we just talked about that, like, how long are we going to keep watching the same movie of us playing great basketball and then having these rough stretches and not being able to maintain and sustain what we're doing? So the guys, you know, like I said, those 3 words, competitiveness, togetherness, and last but not least, most importantly, accountability. And we all held ourselves accountable for what happened in what transpired in the first half, and came out with a focus, with a togetherness, with a competitiveness that, you know, resulted in us coming out with the W.
Darvin, sometimes talk can just be talk. What did you see in the third quarter that let you know that that message resonated? Like, when did you start to actually see the tide start to turn on the court?
Well, the aggressiveness of Dennis and Pat, you know, setting the tone defensively on Dame and Simons, and, you know, the way we were attacking the rim. Yeah, and, you know, just not settling and putting pressure on them to defend their paint. And, you know, something that we've done well all year is just live in the paint offensively. And, you know, you get a couple of layups, you get that, you know, in turn opens you up to get a couple of open threes and made threes, and you get to the line, and so slowly but surely you start to cut into that lead. And you just have to take it one possession at a time. You can't come out and just shoot all threes. Like, you have to have a balanced attack, all the while still getting stops. And we shifted our focus to making them play inside the three-point line as well. So all of that just, you know, combined for us to really come out on top and really wipe out the deficit. And it's a hell of a performance, man. It just, again, our group has a lot of character, a lot of resilience, and that was on full display tonight.
Darvin, you said it was simple as having a conversation. Was it, like, is that a yelling situation? Is that calm talk? What was sort of the energy?
No, I'm not going to be goofy about it. I'm not going to be abrasive about it. It's just a straight shooter stating the facts. Like, we've been going through this all year. So after seeing what we have to do, whether it's in a game, in film, we see how we can be and what we can be when we play the right way. Why do we allow ourselves to slip back over into this other side of, bad offense, no accountability on defense, making everything an issue except the opponent and being out competing our opponent? It's not about the referees. It's not about touches. It's not about who's coming in and out of the game and when and how many minutes and all of that. We all got to band together. If we're going to close this deficit in the win-loss column, we all got to band together and do it as a team, as a unit. Every staff member, every player. And so that was the conversation, in a nutshell. Just how many times do we have to watch this movie before we start to change? And we can start right now.
You guys talked a lot about stats there in that first block. How about this one, Geeter? Check this out. When it comes to that 25-point comeback, it's the third largest.
Wow.
Since '96.
Fish was on 2 of those teams.
Well, there you go, Fish. You guys broke down so well, too, what it took.
And by the way, I think it was the Dallas one, wasn't that the big fourth quarter comeback? Mm-hmm. Weren't you down like 27 or something? That's kind of
Yes, sir.
I think right there, listening to Darvin, it was a different change to his tone, in a sense. We can sit here and have fun with, the moment, the comeback, but he was very serious.
Not playing.
And when we sit here and we talk about, is it too early to look at standings? But then, as he just put it, we can sit here and talk about standings and close the gap. Yeah. But you got to also go out there and do it and be serious about what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of his major assets with this team is, his communication with them. He's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure when he has to be direct, he is. And the players have bought into it because you don't play the way they're playing unless you're buying into a system that you believe in.
It really does come down to, oftentimes players just making a decision that this is what we want our team to be. And I am willing to do whatever it takes to be a part of that picture, that vision that we have for ourselves. And like you said, doesn't matter minutes, touches, who's in, who's out. If you're really about winning, let me see it.
Yeah.
Stop talking about it. And whatever the conversation was at halftime, I think they were able to remind each other that that's the way they need to play in order to have a chance to win. And hopefully the second half, is another example of when everybody does stay focused in the right things, team can be really successful.
Great point. You know who else is about winning in a positive light? Allison Clifton. Take a bow.
Thank you. Can you please say it louder
Allison
and more
Clifton.
often?
Allie Clifton.
It's not often that Geeter tells me I'm right, that I called it.
You did.
And then lives up to it. Thank you.
You did.
Yeah.
At a time when we needed to hear it. Thought you might have been a little crazy at the time. You are not. You were right.
Patrick Beverley scored 4 points and led the Lakers in plus-minus with a plus 27. He's speaking with Mike in the media.
Pat, you've been in the NBA a long time. You don't see a 25-point halftime deficit overcome too often. I just wonder what you felt like the message was from whoever it was in halftime and how you guys were able to execute and chip away until you kind of took over.
Not just, I came at halftime and told the guys, just turn our swag up. Understand that we're fortunate to play a game that give us stability. We're able to take care of our families. We're able to live a lifestyle that fortunate lifestyle that, that a lot of people dream about. So, regardless of what's going on, have fun. Message, and we came out and responded.
It did seem like you had the kind of the constant dialogue with Dame throughout. You end up tonight being the plus 27. Dame has a slow shooting night. What were you looking at matchup wise?
If he would have cooked me, you would have said I couldn't guard him. But now he missed a couple of shots as a slow shooting night. I understand.
Well, I said you were plus 27.
No,
right?
Just say I did a good job on Dame. That sound better.
Well, I was gonna ask the question. Let you answer it.
I just answered it. Next question.
Any more on just the matchup?
No, always good to see Dame. Hell of a point guard in this league. His ability to shoot it, from the logo, puts pressure on your defense. I think it was a team effort tonight. It wasn't one man.
Darvin said obviously there's a lot of elements to the comeback, but he said that the on-ball defense from you and Dennis on their backcourt was kind of the first thing that he saw after the halftime.
Yeah.
That gave him an indication that it wouldn't just be talk, that you guys would back it up. What was your mindset as you took the court in the third?
I mean, the same mindset. I start every game with it, every quarter with it, anytime I'm in the game. Impact winning. Fortunate to do it today, get some stops. You get stops, it's hard to kind of load up on Bron. It's good that, we got Bron in transition, hit some threes, loosen up the deal a little bit. Then this was some early drives. We got a lot in transition, so they helped our offense.
Pat, this team has been through some wild stuff this year, some really wild swings, losing streaks, a recent winning streak. How do you think that stuff has sort of prepared this group for moments like tonight? And then, I guess, what does this give you more belief, big picture, as to what this team's capable?
I mean, you know me. I think the NBA is a long season. It's always predicated on, the most conditioning team coming into training camp always starts well. They even off, the vets come kind of catch their legs, 20, 25 games in, they win some games, so it's so competitive in this league, you can win any game, you can beat good teams, you can lose to anybody any night. I believe that, our early tests, our early injuries, has prepared us for a lot, going into the, postseason, going into, the down stretch of the season. So, any adversity you're fortunate with. And, for me and my teammates, you appreciate adversity. It helps you get through the tough times.
Pat, it really seems like no matter what the score is, you really stay aggressive, especially with your talking, and staying in, whoever.
With my play also.
With your play also.
Yeah.
But although this is a league of confident players, there might not be a lot of players who kind of talk the way you talk when you're down big.
I don't know what that means. How do I talk when I'm?
Do you talk trash? Do you not?
Yeah, but I don't talk when we're down. When we're down big.
You were talking to Dame when you were down 17.
Yeah.
All I'm asking is, what's the mentality? What do you think makes you one of those people that feels like no matter what the score is, I'm going to play my way aggressively and talk my game aggressively?
I like to feel like I back my game up, not only just talking. My life is predicated through adversity. I've seen it all. I played in every league in the world. I'm going to leave it all on the court. I'm going to let my history with basketball, the places I've been, the success I've had over, a decade and a half. And I'm going to leave that on the court. Obviously, when you're in battle, friendly, chatter, friendly bittering is always there. But, it's nothing out of context to what I provide for a team on a basketball court instead of, my skill and instead of me just, what you said, just talking.
It doesn't matter who it is. Part of his game, sometimes when you talk like that, you have to pay for it. You got to be careful. That's Dame he's talking to. You don't want to be. But hey, his what he does in a game is not on the stat sheet. He's just one of those players that he puts his print on the game with his defense, his toughness. He does disrupt a lot of players with his verbal language sometimes. But that's just who Pat Beverly is, man. That's who he is. That's who he is.
LeBron James chasing history. Started with 260 left. 223 points to tie Cap, Kareem, Abdul-Jabbar. LeBron is now speaking with Mike in the media.
Well, LeBron, I don't mean this literally to question your memory, but like a 25-point halftime deficit, you as you go into the archives, are there a game or two that you think of and that had any commonalities between you guys being able to erase something that was that large like tonight?
I don't know. I think the first game that could come to my mind, I don't know how many points we were down, but we were in a playoff series back in Cleveland, my second stint playing against Indiana on the road. And we made a huge comeback in a postseason game to cap that game off. I don't know if it was game 3 or game 4, in that series. But, tonight was literally a tale of two halves. I mean, obviously we came out and played exceptionally well in the first quarter. Then they jumped on us and completely just, knocked us down, and thank God for the standing 8 count. You know, he was able to, you know, to stay in the bout and then, you know, turn the game around in the second half.
Darvin had mentioned the ball pressure from Dennis and from Pat in the perimeter. And in your case, it seemed like just able to keep getting to the rim. I think you were 9 of 10 in the paint at one point. A lot of that coming in the third. Was your mindset any more geared towards that, or was that just what was coming off the stops?
Well, I mean, when you're down, you try to play a little bit more desperate. You try to, you know, see, you know, how much you got left in the tank and try to, you know, push the envelope a little bit more. So, like you just said, it started with Dennis and Pat just getting up into, you know, Dame and Anthony, and, you know, and then it's the back line's, you know, job to communicate through them, because they get a lot of pick and rolls, a lot of flare screens, things of that nature. So, you know, Thomas, William, myself, and the rest of the guys, Troy, everybody that was out on the floor is just trying to communicate to those guys off pick and rolls or whatever the case may be, ISOs, and even when we got switches, we was able to, you know, just try to keep a, you know, a hand up on those guys, because they're, you know, obviously Damon, we know how great he is, and Anthony is definitely a shining star in this league. So just try to make it tough on him, and in the second half we was able to do that.
LeBron, obviously, when you fall down 25 in the first half, guys are going to discuss what's going on in the halftime locker room. And Darvin said that he felt like his message was like, we don't want to keep watching the same movie. How did you guys as a group not just have it be talk tonight and then, you know, actually go out and do the things that you were discussing?
I mean, I guess there's one or two ways. You can either go out and you can just lay down and get ready for the next game, or you can see what can happen in the third quarter, make a game of it. And, you know, for us as competitors and our team and our makeup this year, we're not a lay-down team. It's just not the makeup of our club. So we came out and showed the makeup of our club in the third quarter, give ourselves a chance going into the fourth and turn it into a few possession game, into a couple possession game. Then one possession game was able to take the lead. I believe on was that Thomas 3 on the left wing. Finally took the lead. Yep. Yeah. So, you know, after that we just started trying to get some stops and keep building our lead up. You know, from 1 to 3 to 5 or whatever the case may be, all the way up into 7 at one point.
When teams fight back like that so often, like they expend so much energy that, like, when it gets tight, things kind of fall apart. This is 2 games in a row where you guys are pretty good in crunch time. What have you seen execution-wise lately from this team down the stretch, and is that encouraging, sort of big picture, knowing that you guys have been through and made so many mistakes that you're kind of learning?
Yeah, we've been through it a lot, and you know, we just want to try to continue to keep improving, you know, throughout, you know, late games and, you know, 1 possession games, 2 possession games, going down late, and tonight we did a good job of being able to execute. You know, defensively and offensively, you know, getting the best shots that we can. And even when we got, you know, one of the good looks that we didn't go in, you know, Thomas was cleaning glass and was able to get us extra possessions or second chance points, so that was huge for us.
LeBron, of the aspects of your game that have kept up over 2 decades, how much pride do you have in your ability to still be able to get to the rim, like Mike was saying? I mean, you're getting to the rim in third quarter. I think all 6 of your baskets in the restricted area. How much pride do you have in that?
I'm just an efficient guy. I've always taken pride in being efficient on the floor. You know, I'm also able to score at all 3 levels on the floor. So if it's a point in the game where one is not working, I can go to the next, or always keep the defense at bay. So I had the 3-ball working earlier in the game. Third quarter wasn't going. I was able to get into the paint. I was able to get to the free throw line. I started getting my mid-range going as well. So I'm just always trying to keep the defense off balance, you know, with my play. And, you know, the rim was, you know, very key for us, because we was just trying to put more pressure on, you know, not only defensively but offensively as well. And, you know, the rim attacks definitely starts with me, especially in that starting lineup.
Last question, Mike.
LeBron, while, you know, keeping the main thing, as you say, we've been hearing some additionally positive reports about AD. Darvin just says he kind of, you know, clearing one hurdle, non-contact, and then contact, and waiting the next day. What has your mind been there, and kind of thinking what he would bring back to you while still, since when he's not actually out there yet, you know, focusing on the games at hand?
I don't want to get too excited, because I just know what he brings to our ball club. So, you know, I am until. I want him to just take as much time as he needs. And when he's ready, when he feels like he's ready to put on a uniform and I'll see him run out with us, then I'll get excited again. But right now, I'm locked in on getting this ball club and putting them in a position to be successful every night. And we all can't wait for AD to get back, obviously, but whenever that moment is, we'd be super excited. But I'm locked in right now on what I need to do personally and for this ball club. So you'll see the same from me, no matter what.
I know you're happy about TB being in there.
No, I am. Yeah.
Thomas Bryant tied his career high with 31 points, 9 of them coming in the fourth. He's speaking with the media in Portland.
You had during that 5-game winning streak, you were such a powerful presence in the paint. Then I think last couple games, there were some other guys who kind of stepped up. What did you go into this game kind of thinking in terms of how you wanted to contribute? And that second half, what do you think changed about the team dynamic?
I think in the second half, what changed was just our demeanor. We all talked about it at halftime. We knew that second quarter got away from us, and we wanted to give a better push in the second half, no matter what happened. Down by whatever, up by whatever, we have to come out with that same mentality that we did the second half and the first half. And for me personally, I just wanted to be available for my teammates. I know my teammates have a lot of confidence in me, to make the right decisions, make some shots out there, and I got to give it to them. Those guys really put me in a great position, and I was trying to be aggressive out there and, take whatever they gave me out there, and luckily it went my way.
Thomas, as much as you can share, what was that halftime atmosphere like, and what were the words that resonated?
It was quiet at first, but then, all of us got around together. We tried to figure out, we all were talking, communication, and I think that's what really changed with the second half for us. All of us were communicating, seeing what we saw, saying what we saw, and giving each other ideas about what we can do to get better out there. And I think that's a great thing when you have teammates in the locker room that, take constructive criticism in the right way. Whether it's me or anybody else out there, we responded well, and Pat Bev was really a go-to guy that gave us the energy and the resiliency that we needed out there.
Thomas, 2 questions. One, you said the second quarter got away from you guys. Where did you feel that slippage most? And I guess in crunch time down the stretch, you guys have been through now a bunch of wild stuff this season. Do you feel like those lessons are starting to kind of build up and help you guys navigate some of this?
Absolutely. I feel like those lessons are really, really helping us in the long run. There's been a lot of games where we were close by and we lost some, and a lot of games that we were close and we won some, but we want to get on the winning side more often than the losing side. And what was your first question? I'm sorry.
About the second quarter, where it got away from you guys.
Second quarter, I think it was our communication. We let some easy buckets get away from us, and our defensive rotations weren't as quick as they were in the second half. So that was our really go-to thing of what we communicated about.
Thomas, I was looking at your stats throughout the third quarter, and it was almost no miss, 100% from 3. It reminded me of a game you had with the Wizards. I think it was a perfect game. Does these games feel different?
Yeah, this one does feel different because when we're on the road, but in a hostile environment against a great team. But really, I didn't even really think of that right there. For me, it's just like I can't think about the past. I have to keep looking at the future. But it's funny that you brought that up. Yeah, I didn't even realize that till now, and that's funny because I didn't realize that either until I was done with the game. But it was a fun game out there. I got some buckets to go in for me that I've been wanting to get in for a while, so I'm happy of that.